of this call is going to be breaking down kind of some of the things that you highlighted, connecting with each other. And again, I can't make you guys connect, right? So maybe what you can do, somebody can initiate, put yourselves in a group chat with the four of us that says like, this is what I'm doing today. And maybe we have to check into the office in the morning. Or if you have somebody that's on your team and you need to check into the office. And something that I did today, like I put on this snazzy little shirt. I have shorts on the bottom, but that doesn't matter, right? I just noticed when I put on a little bit something a little more officey, a little more professional, it kind of gets me in the mindset and mood to start moving forward and to start actually showing up professionally, right? Oh, I have Melissa coming on too. I'm gonna admit her in. Okay, so the first couple things that you guys were saying, I want to make sure we address is schedule and structure, practicing gratitude, or feeling like actually, and Kia touched on this, like I feel also like I manifested this. I like being at home. I personally like being at home. I know a lot of people who are extroverts are going to have a hard time in this season. So I also want to recognize anybody who really is having a hard time not being social and missing out on those social things, to take personal responsibility to reach out to people, to do Zoom calls like this. Our group, I'm a military spouse, so our group of wives gets together every Tuesday night at 8:30, and we just like drink wine, talk, and we'll like play games. And at first I was like, I don't want to do that. Oh, that's annoying. But I actually really liked it, and it felt like we were connected, and it felt like we were really hanging out. So the first thing is, what is it do you need in this season? And just because some things were kind of forced upon us doesn't mean that we can't find a creative way about it. So focus, energy, really starting to have the discipline. So that's basically what we're talking about, all of these things now. The resource that I want to provide to you guys, it's like I'm keeping it a little secret because I didn't want everybody to know what the resource was before getting on the call. It is the book called The Compound Effect. It is by Darren Hardy. And I actually have a video series of it as well. I did a book review on this in 2017 because, like I said, it's one of my favorite books. So if you want to be involved in that, shoot me a message after this call. I'll give you the link. You can sign up to get all the videos and kind of work through that with me on video. But the reason why I like this book is because the premise of it is small things compounded over time lead to big results. So for example, let's say somebody trains to run a marathon and they run a marathon. They run those 26.2 miles, but then they never run again. Their life in the long term, in 25 years, is going to look a lot different than somebody who walks 2 miles every day, right? Even though you look at somebody who runs the marathon and you think, wow, they did that big thing, and all I'm doing is walking 2 miles every day. It doesn't feel like anything. If you're consistent with that, then over the long term, you're going to be better off than that person who did that big thing just once, right? So it's talking about the law of compound interest, the law of 1% compounded over time. There's also something out there that says when the penny doubles, like the penny doubles, if the penny doubled every single day, it turns into $1 million, even though initially it sounds like something really small. So he goes through several different strategies. He touches on gratitude. There's a gratitude worksheet on there. He touches on inputs. And that's what I decided to lead with today. We're going to do inputs and we're going to do habits. These are worksheets that you can get on Darren Hardy's website, thecompoundeffect.com. You can get his worksheets there. And then ultimately it leads into creating your values. Like, what are your values? And some of you who have been to a previous Mindset Meetup or you've seen me talk, I speak a lot on values because in this season, our values is what's going to move us forward, right? We might have a vision for our life. We might have an idea of what our life was going to look like. In this season, it might be thrown off a bit because what we were doing in our day-to-day, it looks a lot different. However, our values aren't going to change. So if family is important, then we want to make sure we're still structuring in family time. If giving back is important, we still want to make sure that we're giving back. So I do want to draw the conversation always back to values. And Darren Hardy does have a values worksheet. I also have a values worksheet on my website. So I will recommend that you do touch on values but we're not going to do specifically values in today's mindset. Let me pull up, I'm going to pull up my screen. I downloaded these. I'm going to share my screen with you. And we're going to talk about input influences first, because how many of y'all, you can just say yes by like putting your hand up. How many of y'all have been wanting to like delete the Facebook app lately? Or you can put in the chat if you've been wanting to delete the Facebook app lately. I personally have been, yes. Taneja says yes. I have been just feeling like overwhelmed, inundated with this extra time, but then it's also like everybody's on Facebook. So I don't just see one post. I see the same post 15 times because everybody is sharing the same post. And so I'm just like, clearly people are bored, and clearly I'm bored because I'm just on Facebook for literally no reason. So we're starting to talk now about what inputs we are allowing into our lives right now. And there's this worksheet here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit on it more. If you want to follow along with it, you can go to Darren Hardy right now, and I think you can download it and get it via your email, or I would recommend just taking notes on this and then maybe going and downloading it later, because this is a worksheet that's talking about what do we allow to come into our circle of influence. At this point, we have a lot of control over what we're going to allow in, right? Because we're at home. So we're in control of what TV we turn on, what Instagram we go on. And the reason why I don't like being on Facebook too much is because I actually don't have control over my news feed, because I can't control what other people post. However, what I've started doing is like snoozing people, unfollowing people. But then I also find that that's taking me like an hour and I'm sitting there unfollowing people. So is that the best use of my time? Some may say yes, some may say no. But I've just found that when I go onto Facebook, I'm going to go into my groups that I'm a part of, that I have control over, or it's a specific group that is focused. I'm in a mentorship group, so I'm going to stay in that group because we're all focused on growing our businesses during this time. So this is just an example of how we are able to filter and allow different things to come into our awareness. So here's a couple things coming down the line. And the one thing Darren Hardy talks about, like the very first thing is, if you're not tracking it, then there's no way to see if you're improving, right? So just like if you have a weight loss goal, if you have, a goal to reach out to a certain amount of people or get a certain amount of clients, there's no way for you to understand the impact that you're making unless you're tracking it. So you can create your own tracker in your planner. You can use one of his, or a lot of times I'll go on Pinterest and I'll find something that's a tracker for me, right? If you're doing fitness or water intake, which reminds me, I'm going to drink some water because my throat this morning. So assessing your inputs. So let's look at all the potential ways you're feeding your mind less than supportive input. And then just put a 0 if you don't do any particular activity. So the way this is set up is the activity is over on the left. It says per day, per week, per year. And you can actually put like how many hours per day are you spending doing this thing? How many hours per week are you spending doing this thing? So if you want to start to jot this down, you can maybe take some notes and start to see, where am I spending most of my time? And then, do I need to be spending time there? Is it serving me or is it not serving me? So reading the newspaper, morning TV shows or news programs, right? Which at this point, I don't watch the news. I haven't watched the news for several years, mostly because I got rid of cable, but mostly just because it wasn't providing me with anything of value personally. And again, I'm not saying this as a blanket statement, because maybe a lot of people, they want to watch politics, they want to watch this, they want to see current events. I think that's important. But I also would like you guys to check in on, how does that make you feel? Do you get hyped up and like very amped up when you're watching it? And is that something that is serving you or not serving you? And you can still be an activist in a way that is not detrimental to your own health, right? Where we're so hyper focused on things that we want to be an activist for, yet it ends up negatively affecting our own health because we're letting it in too much, too deep, right? The next thing, news radio in the car. So what do you listen to in the car? Right now, we're not spending too much time in the car, but that's a segment of time where you can control what's being input into your ears. Evening TV news during the day. So do we keep any kind of news on during the day? News on website homepages. So scrolling, I know like Yahoo Mail, for example, like they have a news page. And so they kind of like force feed you to look at it unless you click over and don't look at it. So all of the news is designed to get us to read it and to suck us in. So it's always going to have headlines that are like shocking or, oh my gosh, let me read this. So just noticing how often we're being influenced by those things. RSS news feeds. So that'd be like on a blog's website. News, gossip blogs, websites, readers, all of that. Like, what are the Kardashians doing? What are so-and-so doing in this time? Is that adding value to our personal life? Does that matter to us personally? I know in this time, I've tried not to see it, but still I've seen it. A lot of people are talking about like, what are celebrities doing during this time? And they're getting all up in arms about the celebrities and what they're doing or not doing. And again, is that helping us reach our 90-day goal? Is that helping us move forward in structuring our life to spend time in this? News magazines, gossip magazines, online or otherwise. Other sources for news, gossip and social commentary, right? Like there's a lot of shows that are just based on talking about gossip. Sitcom or other TV viewing. I also want to put reality TV in here. And I don't want to denigrate reality TV because there's some that I think could be really great. But it's checking in on how does it make you feel? And is it serving your goal? Is it serving your vision? Is it serving your values? So for example, there's some different reality TV shows out there on like people dating and like, what is it like? And I've asked a couple people like, why do you watch it? Like, I'm curious because the only reality TV shows I watch have like baby animals in them. So like, I love it because they have baby animals, or it's like a veterinarian and she's saving this person. Like there's something that has like a wholesome message to it, because that's what makes me feel good. And these reality shows, when I see an advertisement for it, I can't even watch the advertisement. I'm like, no, I can't. I just can't. I don't want to be involved in people's petty drama situations. That's me personally. Now, some people will say, well, I like it because it makes me feel better about my life. Like I'm not as bad as they are. And I say, okay, great. Well, if we use that, we could look at anybody who has it worse than us or who's doing worse than we are, and it's going to make us feel really good about ourselves. But is that developing a growth mindset where we're going to be challenged to grow, to increase our level of personal development, of awareness, of impact in the world? So I think there's definitely a place for reality TV, and there's a place for you to escape and be entertained. But what is the overall message of what you're watching, and what is the actual purpose of why you're watching it? Is it life affirming? Is it building you up? Is it building others up? And then a less than life affirming movie viewing. And this may be different for everybody. And then you can kind of put in here, how much time per day am I spending doing these things? And then am I wondering why I'm in a panic because I've been watching the news for 4 hours? And then I'm wondering why I'm all up in arms and I'm transferring my energy to what the celebrities are doing instead of transferring my energy to my own home, my own family, my own business. So I think when you actually add these up, it's kind of interesting to see. And I think one thing that may be missing, because I believe he made this in 2010. So social media wasn't as huge. I think we all need to add a line item for like Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, like scrolling, just whatever you're scrolling, how much time you're spending there, and then what's the resulting outcome. And we have screen time on most of our phones that tell us how much time we're spending. And then in the next worksheet piece, it says list 3 ways you will cut or significantly limit your input of negative, fear-mongering, worrisome, gossip, or needless social commentary input via newspaper, TV, radio, magazines, website, or other ways. So I'm curious on how this is resonating with you guys. I am going to check the chat. Kia says, yes. I don't know what she was saying yes to, so let me know what you're saying yes to. And then let me know if any of this resonates with you in terms of where you're currently placing your energy, your time. I will be the first one to say I've limited my Facebook scrolling. So deleting Facebook, Kia went all in. She said, I'm deleting Facebook. That's awesome. Deleting it. And I know a lot of people that will delete it from their phone every single day. And then they'll just reinstall it in the morning so that they're not tempted to scroll. Anybody else? Have you noticed anything that you've allowed inputs to come in? I spend a lot of time on Pinterest, and my recent Pinterest obsession has been figuring out how to do my wavy hair. So that to me has been life affirming. However, it can easily transition into obsession where it's I just need to get more products for my hair. And so I have to draw the line for myself of you don't just get to scroll on Pinterest at night because you can't sleep. Because what is that doing? It's keeping me up longer, then I don't get awake early enough, and then I don't start my day like we're talking about structuring it out. Melissa says, unfollow a lot of people and muting people on Instagram. Yes, it's very interesting during this time. We're going to see people's true colors come out. And everybody's going to be different in this time. A lot of people are loving all the memes that are out there. I, again, don't want to focus all my energy on memes. And even though they're trying to make light of the situation, I still want to be focused on people who are moving forward, who are doing the thing, choosing role models like people like Darren Hardy or other leaders who are continuing to move forward and find ways to be creative during this time. Alyssa says, I only go to the notifications on Facebook and then I'm off it. Yeah. And I'm getting sucked into funny videos. I feel you. I know once you get on a video and then it'll tell you another one and it'll tell you another one and it'll tell you another one. And I think there's nothing wrong with any of this unless it's cutting into your productivity. So I'll tell a lot of my clients, you can structure in, okay, 4 o'clock, I'm getting on Facebook for an hour, 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, and even set a timer and let yourself go wild, right? So it's not necessarily all about saying we can't have it. Although every year, for the past couple of years, I've done this thing called TV Free May, where I don't watch any TV. I don't know if I'll do that this year because that's pretty bold. But I did that because Netflix was getting in the way of my productivity. So for a month, I would say, no, you can't watch TV during the week. And my rule was no TV during the week. And then I could watch a movie or a show on the weekend, but not the whole series, not the whole 21 episodes in one sitting, which is something that I used to do. So maybe it is time to put a ban in place or put a limitation in place if that's what's going to serve you. The only way this works, though, I won't say the only way, but I'll say the more likely it is to succeed is if you have an accountability person. So if you're saying, I'm only getting on Facebook from this time to this time, who is holding you accountable for that? So we have a few people in the group. You guys can all be in, like I said, put a messenger group together. You guys can all hold each other accountable for what it is that you are limiting in this season. Okay, the next piece. Okay, so now that you're taking something away, right? We're creating room. We're creating that availability for something to come in. What are we going to plan to put in? So the next section on this worksheet says, plan to feed your mind. What are ways that you will proactively feed your mind positive, inspirational, abundant, prosperity-minded ideas, information, and input? And there are 5 ways. So I want you to start typing in maybe some of your favorite podcasts, videos, leaders, where are you getting your inspiration from? Because this is going to be important. And he wrote this in 2010, right? We always are inundated with negative thoughts, negative beliefs, but even more so in our current situation, it's times 100, right? It's any type of limiting belief or thought or negative thought we had, let's just go ahead and multiply that times 100 right now because of the panic and because of what's going to happen and because. But if we focus on that, it's going to just keep us paralyzed. It's going to keep us paralyzed in fear, not moving forward. And like Kia said in the beginning, we go through this next 60 to 90 days, and what do we have to show for it on the other side? So what are you consciously doing? putting in your mind every single day. I'll do 5 of mine while you guys are typing in the chat some of the ones that you like. I listen to Jocko podcast. This may not be for everybody. He is a former Navy SEAL. He typically reads books on war strategy, on leadership, on battle strategy. But what I really like about it is he often interviews people who have been through combat and who have come back with an injury, a big injury, or they lost somebody in the war, or they've overcome something. And the podcast episodes are long. They're typically 2, 3, 4, or 5 hours long, which may sound like crazy. Like, who sits down and listens to a 5-hour podcast? Well, I don't listen to it all at once. But what I use it for is when I'm feeling unmotivated and I don't want to work out, for example, I put on a podcast episode of somebody who's missing 2 arms and a leg. And I go, oh, I'm blessed in this moment to be able to work out. So it gives me perspective. And then each and every time I go to work out again, I get to hear a little bit more of their story. And it's kind of like that perspective for me of somebody with an amazing mindset, what they can actually do, right? So Jocko podcast is one of my favorites. Another one that I used to use very frequently on YouTube even, Tony Robbins, you may have heard of him. He's huge. Not everybody loves him, so it may not be for you, but he has a recording on YouTube called Hour of Power. And every morning for probably about a good 12 to 15 months, I would listen to Tony Robbins' Hour of Power every morning, every morning, every morning. And the reason for that for me was I was modeling somebody who has a life that I'd like to emulate. He has what I would like to have in some capacity. And then what did he do to get there? So I wanted Tony Robbins' thoughts to become my thoughts. So every day, every morning for over a year, I listened to that same video, to the point where sometimes I'll say things and I'm like, where did that thought come from? Oh, that came from Tony Robbins. And that started to become my belief. That started to become how I showed up. I have some people coming in the chat, so I have some lists here. I'm going to share these as well. Okay, Melissa says, listen to podcast from Nikki Kozarak. So it's Koziark, called Lessons from the Farm. Reading Christian-based books. Looking through Pinterest for a specific item, right? So like kind of creativity, spark creativity. Number 4, changing my environment. So she physically changed her environment and then doing something creative. Beautiful. So those are inputs that are helping her. Alyssa says, going to my virtual church every Sunday. Yes, I love this. We want to start doing something every single day though. So just like we can look at, often people are, I'm listening to the news every day. I'm watching this every day. I'm allowing people to give me these inputs each day on their opinions on Facebook or Instagram, wherever. But what are we doing each day that we have control over? Maybe it's an audiobook. I'm going to give you a couple more lists of audiobooks that I like. The Compound Effect, give me one. The Secret, I really like. So The Secret is written by Rhonda Byrne. I prefer her book, The Power, because it talks really about what we focus on. And it's very similar to The Compound Effect in terms of 1% each day. And then it also talks about focusing on love, focusing on what we love, focus on what in this moment do we love. And again, back to what Kia was saying of, we have a lot to be grateful for in this moment. Us being locked in a home is a privilege in this time, meaning we have a home. We have a home to go to. And we might look back on this time and be like, wow, I really wish that I would have enjoyed it more because I got the opportunity to rest. I've been going full speed for so long and I got the opportunity to rest, relax, reconnect, be in nature, whatever that is. So making the best use of this time in our life. So the Secret, The Power, another book, it's called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And this is powerful because the whole premise is cultivating presence, learning how to be present in the present moment. And with that will come gratitude. With that will come, wow, I am really provided for in this moment. Another podcast I listen to a lot, let me look up. I listen to meditations daily on Insight Timer. So that's another thing. I have a few people I like to follow on there. Both of them are males. One is named Kenneth Soares, and he just has really good affirmations. And another one is David Gandelman, and he's just like a funny meditation teacher. He just makes jokes during his meditation. So he adds like a lightness, right? Because even me, I teach meditation. I tend to get serious in my meditations. This allows me to kind of have a more lighthearted feel. So those are some of the recommendations I can make for you. And I have some in the chat. Kia says, I've been listening to more audiobooks and motivational videos while I do chores or edit, writing down ideas and thoughts to clean my head. Yes. Learning anything about holistic healing, business, photography, and events, purging everything, house, mind, body, finishing projects I started a while ago, making sure not to regret this time. Yes. So in this season, she has a vision for, I don't want to regret it. I want to make an impact. I want to say I did this. So the next thing that we're going to transition into is the habit tracker. Because if we have a vision for what the next 90 days is, which I would recommend that right now, what do I want to achieve within the next 90 days? Let's call it 60 to 90 days, with fitness, with my business, with how my looks. What do I want to have achieved? And then we backtrack that to say, okay, well, if I want to do a couch to 5K, I want to be able to run 3 miles within the next 90 days, then I'm going to backtrack and put that in a structured plan to where I start to do maybe a jog walk, and then I work my way up. It's going to be the same way in business. It's going to be the same way with relationship, with your home. I need to clean out my storage unit. How am I going to do that? I'm going to start by doing 1 hour per week where I take stuff and set it aside. I either sell it or I donate it, whatever I'm able to do, or maybe I put it on my curb and donate it to people in need in my community. So each and every way we're breaking down our goal into structured formats, and let's just call it a 12-week period. And then each and every week we can track and see what we've done towards that project. So my next worksheet is habit assessment. Let me scroll in on this. And this is going to help you to break down what actually needs to happen to achieve that said goal. So sharing screen. And feel free, guys, if you want to take a picture of this to follow along with. But again, I'm going to recommend you go to Darren Hardy's thecompoundeffect.com to download this for yourself. So the habit assessment says, the magic comes from becoming the person you need to be in order to attract the people or results you wish to meet or achieve. Use the example below to determine the magic factor for achieving your goals. So we have an example. This person said, earn an extra $100,000 in income in 2010. So general description of who I need to become to attract this $100,000. And I want you now to maybe set a goal for the next 90 days, set a goal, and you can do it in each area. So it could be fitness, could be business, it could be financial, it could be your home life, your environment at home. And for those of you who are saying, well, I don't know what to do, things have changed for me. By the end of 90 days, you may have, or by the end of, let's say this month, maybe the goal is to have a focus and start moving towards it. And then maybe by the end of 90 days, it's moving forward in a focused direction in one area, so that it may be a vague goal because you're not sure exactly where you want to be. But if you have a vague goal, start to connect with how you want to feel in that moment. So I want to feel impassioned about what I'm working on. I want to feel like I'm giving back. I want to feel like I'm surrounded by supportive people. Whatever that is, then you can start to move towards those objectives over the next 90 days. So general description of a person who wants to make $100,000 in 2010. And again, ours is going to be a little bit shorter, right? So who do we need to become? How do we need to show up in the next 90 days? And it's 11:11 right now. I always like to look at the time as a little affirmation of what I'm talking about, a little angel number. I am disciplined master of time efficiency, right? I would say somebody who's making that type of money is going to be disciplined in their time. I focus solely on high payoff and high productivity actions, meaning Is this going to be the best thing for me to do in this moment to move my business or my life forward? I wake up an hour earlier and review my priority objectives each morning. So maybe that's something that we all need to add in, me included in this season. I fuel my body properly and exercise 4 days a week, so I'm energetic and highly effective each work hour. I feed my mind ideas and inspiration that will support and bolster my passion. I surround myself with peers and mentors who elevate my expectations and prod me to rise to greater levels of discipline, commitment, and achievement. I am a smart, confident, and effective leader. I seek and cultivate the strength and greatness of everyone around me. I deliver excellence to my clients and continually find ways to wow them, encouraging repeat transactions and abundant referrals. Okay, so we got the who I need to become. And you can break this down in each, but let's just choose one for now. And maybe a lot of us are either at jobs or we're working on businesses or projects. So maybe we're choosing that project in the next 90 days. So that's who I need to become. Well, what habits do I now need to create to become this person? All right, this is what I need to start. Get up by 5 a.m. Feed my mind with positive material. 30 minutes of reading, 30 minutes of audio, and something inspirational and instructional each day. 30 minutes of quiet thinking time. 30 minutes of planning time. Eating a healthy fiber and protein-rich breakfast. Exercise for at least 30 minutes, 3 times a week. Calling on, and this is specific to this industry, but calling on 10 new major accounts per week, checking in, servicing, further developing 10 existing clients per week, planning each day the night before, remembering birthdays, anniversaries of employees and clients, following news, blogs, and updates for target accounts. So staying connected to where this person wants to grow with it. So I want you guys to start brainstorming and typing in the chat, what behaviors do I need to start to get me where I want to be within the next 90 days to move me forward? Start typing those in the chat. You can say what your goal is and then start to say a couple different behaviors. Now, this is also wanting us to recognize where we currently are and how we're doing with our current behavior. So existing healthy habits that I have, but I need to expand a little bit more. So the example here is recognizing my teammates when they achieve, delegating administrative tasks, going into the office early, being prompt, professional dress. So I'm kind of good at it, but I could be better at it. I want to expand these things, right? So you could start to say, oh, well, currently I'm reaching out to 2 people a week. I'd like to expand that to reaching out to 10 people a week. And then the big one is going to be the habits or behaviors I need to stop. And we kind of talked about a couple of those. Maybe it's sleeping in. Maybe it's showing up a little bit late to our workday because we know we don't have to be in an office. Maybe it's not dressing the way that we would if we were in the office. Watching 2 hours of TV at night and listening to news in the car, attending unproductive meetings and saying yes to projects that conflict with my highest priorities. Yes. So in a way, for me in this season, we used to spend a lot of time networking in public, in groups. Now I find meeting with Zoom tends to be more efficient. So we can actually cut down on, typically networking would take 2.5 hours. Now we can network in 30 minutes. So there may be some ways that this season has actually allowed us to be more effective. Poor habits to stop, gossiping with colleagues, complaining about the company, the market, team members, talking about how bad things are, taking personal calls, spending time on Facebook or other personal social media sites during the day. I think we're probably all guilty of that if we're working from home. Maybe we need to put our phone in the other room on airplane mode, notify people that we're in productivity mode. So we'll call them back between the hours of 4 and 5 when we're done working. Poor habits need to stop, eating after 7:30 p.m., having more than 1 glass of wine at night, extended lunches without clients, right? Wasting time that's not productive during the day. So I'd like to see in the chat what you guys are coming up with. So I'm going to pull over the chat right here. Okay. Kia had said, okay, Kia, I already read hers. Tanasia says, I've started reading novel books for entertainment again. Beautiful. I just downloaded Audible and listened to books that are of value to my life. Listening to Stormy Wellington. She can be a bit brash at times, but I enjoy it because it sometimes needs a tough love, keep it real motivation. I love that. I know it's like they call you out, and sometimes we need somebody to call us out, right? And Tanasia said, I set I need to set aside time in the AM to plan my day for increased productivity. So it seems like a lot of us are still struggling with that piece. I'm going to break it down to something I did 3 years ago when I was becoming a morning person, 4 years ago now. I set 3 alarms, and I'm going to be accountable to you guys as well. I'm going to go into my storage and get my 3 alarms. So I had my phone alarm, right? Which is like, okay, it's not that loud and it's right beside our bed, so we're going to turn it off right away. I have my Alexa, and I can just tell her Alexa off without getting out of bed. The thing that got me out of bed when I was first starting this habit was I bought 2 alarms on Amazon. Like, one is like the actual ringing alarm that has the bell. The other one is like a battery powered electric alarm. And it increasingly gets louder and louder and louder. That is what got me out of bed. Additionally, I made a commitment to, I'm getting out of bed and I'm making the bed. As soon as the bed's made, can't get back into it. That's something that I have fallen off of since our schedule has changed, because my husband goes into work late. He goes into work at like 8:30 or 9, whereas him and I both were getting up at 5:30. And he was getting up, I was getting up, and it was fine because we were both getting up. So now I've been sleeping in a little later because he's going into work later. So I'm going to commit to getting out those 2 alarms, putting them across the room, and commit to getting up out of bed and pulling that cover down. Once that cover is down, it's done. There's no more getting back into bed. Melissa says, planning at the beginning of the week what this week is going to be like. Being more productive in writing, checking emails only 4 times a day, breaking up my day so that I can focus more. Beautiful. So a couple strategies for this. I do not have my planner in front of me, but I did take a course that was called Organize Your Life with Susan Sly several years ago. I think I took 2 versions of it. And I'm combining this with another strategy I learned from life coach Brooke Castillo. They taught me about time blocking and setting up your week with the times already blocked out. So and using highlighters. So I have this group of highlighters, and each one is labeled. And I'm going to go stop sharing because I think you guys can see this. Each one is labeled, and I'll highlight, personal time, and I'll highlight with that color. I'll highlight IPAs, income producing activities, reaching out to people, and I'll highlight that. Working out, I'll highlight that. Then you can actually see visually where your time blocks are. And then when you sit down, the commitment is, I'm sitting down. This is my creative time. I'm creating in this moment. So that means there's no phone, there's no Facebook, there's no distractions. If you've got kids at home, you're telling them, go play. Mommy's in here doing this. You lock the door. You structure that time so that that is your creative time. Seeing it visually with highlighters, at least for me, is helpful to go, oh, okay, each day, I'm having 2 or 3 hours of creative time. In the mornings, I'm blocking off 1 hour of my hour of power. I'm blocking off 30 minutes of working out, and now it's on my schedule. Now, another thing that Brooke Castillo shared was called Monday Hour 1, which today's Tuesday, but we can still do it now. You take out your list of everything that you want to do for the remaining week. You write down approximately how long it will take to get each of those things done. And then instead of just hanging out with your to-do list, oh, these are all the things I need to do this week, you actually will put it in your schedule and then throw that to-do list away. Or let's say you have more things that need to be done than you can just get done this week. You'll transfer some of those things into next week's list and some of those things into next week's list. So you can look at it by daily, weekly, monthly. By the end of the month, I would like to have this done. This is where I'm going to structure this time in. This is the time that I'm going to take doing each of these things. So those are 2 strategies you can use for your schedule. However, sometimes being accountable to yourself is hard. So I will invite you to reach out to an accountability partner, either from this call or somebody in your life that you are checking in with. These are the 3 things that I want to achieve today. Check them off, journal them at night. This is what I did. You can check in with your accountability partner either daily or weekly and set up your progress each and every week. I have an accountability partner that I meet with, that I was meeting with in person every Friday. And now we've switched to, let's do a FaceTime. Let's do a FaceTime, set our goals for the week, and then check in on where we want to be within the next week. That's been very helpful. Okay. Next, Melissa says, Okay, got that. Kia says, goal, launch of a major festival and statewide political fundraiser. Okay, so Kia, yours is launching it, right? So getting everything set up. It sounds like it's going to be happening in the future, but in the next 90 days, your goal is launching it, getting all of those things put in place. So then you can backtrack each thing that needs to be done on that progressive 12-week timeline, and then having that accountability of a team or a partner to say, yes, this is where I'm at on this. This is what I'm getting done tomorrow. This is what I'm getting done next week. And then she says who she needs to becoming completely immersed in my goals, learning, meeting more people that work in the industry, doing more in the industry, waking up early, working out, purging anything that doesn't add to my greatest good. Example, toxic people, stuff to cling, negative thoughts. Just do it, not wait. Yes. So I'm going to ask each of you in this moment as we wrap up this call, who is going to be your accountability for these actions that you're wanting to take? Because I work with people a lot that they wrote goals in their journal 3 years ago and they still haven't done them because there was a lack of accountability and follow-up. So who will you reach out to be your accountability person? And I'm going to wrap it up with the end of this worksheet as well. Let's share this. And I'll invite all of you to come into, I think a few of you are already in Camy Kennedy Mindset Facebook group, but feel free to hop in there every week. Monday, set your goals. Friday, check in on them. That is a great place to publicly declare it in a supportive environment. Some people may want to do it on their own personal Facebook pages. I find that I like to only share my goals with people who are going to uplift, build me up, and not going to try to bring me down and tell me that I can't do it. So I like to share in a safe community. So you're welcome to share that in Camy Kennedy Mindset Group. And I would also recommend connecting with somebody one-on-one. Okay, and then we're going to finish out this worksheet here. Top 3 modifications and how I will implement it into my daily routine. So what am I going to modify, right? Habit, behavior, or discipline. So feeding your mind. The next one, call on 10 clients per week. The next one, supportive association. So these are the 3 examples. So feeding my mind, implement into my routine. I'm going to read 30 minutes first thing in the morning while coffee brews, listen to audio, and work audio on my commute and while I'm in the office. No commute these days, but maybe we have a virtual commute. We're like, this is me transitioning from waking up in my bed, which is actually right behind me, to transitioning into getting on a call. What does that commute look like? And for this, it might be a walk outside. It might be a jog outside, a workout to get our mindset ready for that next transition. Or it might be sitting down, meditation, and we're visually and in our mind, we're transitioning into the workplace, right? Since we are mostly working from home. The next habit was call on 10 new clients per week. And so the implementation is specific. I'm going to do it on Tuesday from 2 to 5. I'm going to do it on Wednesday from 10 to 12. I'm going to do it on Thursday from 1 to 4. So specifically scheduling in those structured times. And this is the same with working out, right? A lot of people are going to say, I want to work out more. Well, where is that structured into your schedule? 30 minutes a day at this time with this person, and I'm checking in with this person when I'm done with that workout. And the last one he put here was supportive associations. Join and commit to bi-weekly mastermind forum. So that's something that you could find. I am launching Create, Believe, Conquer. It will be opening up on April 20th. So that is going to be a 6-week program. If you're interested in that, you can reach out to me individually, but you can join the Camy Kennedy Mindset Group. You can do a lot of stuff in there for free, make connections in there for free. I'm also starting a free challenge on Easter Monday called Create, Believe, Conquer, where we're working through creating our vision, working through the belief process of that, working in the conquer process. And you'd be amazed within a period of 5 days what action you can take to start to build momentum. So that's something free that you can hop into as well. And then if you want to be part of the Create, Believe, Conquer video series, I have that. So individually reach out with me if you need any of those resources. Let me know what you might be interested in. But on a personal level, I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to check and see who you're using for your accountability partners. I don't have anybody tell me yet. So I will wait. And we have 4 minutes before this call wraps up. Who are you using for accountability? Type it in the chat. And if you don't know, also type that in the chat, because at least we can commit to what we're going to do to hold ourselves accountable to these goals. Yeah, I had a feeling. Kia says, Alyssa, I knew you guys are pretty much accountability buddies already. Now, I'd also like to know, Tanisha says, I'm thinking of one of my close friends, three come to mind. Okay, sorry, I was reading. Tanisha said, anyone in this group interested in being partners? Beautiful. So would anybody like to include Tanisha in their accountability? Kia says, I would love to. So we'll just add you guys to a group. Right? If you could initiate that, Kia, that would be great. And Melissa says, I'm thinking of one of my close friends, three come to mind. When you initiate this, the next thing is time and what you're doing. So for example, every Friday, we're going to check in by 5 p.m. and say what we've achieved. Or every Monday, we're going to check in by 7 a.m. and set our goals. So somebody does need to set, this is the time, this is what we're doing whenever we meet in. And for Melissa, friends are great. And I don't know anything about your friends, but I will say this. Sometimes friends let things slide a little bit more than people who are not friends. So the reason I'm bringing that up is pick your toughest friend that you know is not going to hold back on you, right? The worst thing to do for accountability is when you're dragging somebody along and then you end up doing all the accountability for yourself and all the accountability for the other person. So you really want to get with somebody who's more well-matched to showing up, holding themselves accountable, and holding you accountable. And you'll know, you'll make mistakes. We all do. We all do. And we're like, oh man, this person drags me down every week and they're my friend and I feel bad. That's part of it too, is up-leveling yourself, up-leveling your friendships, relationships, just to say, hey, I love you, sweetheart. And we can maybe drink wine on a Zoom together every Wednesday. But for accountability, I'm going to have to go with, I'm just going to have to move on, and that's okay. And then what that'll do, it may damage the relationship. It may change the relationship. It may up-level that person, or it may be in this season, that person is just not really good for my growth. And that is okay as well, right? Everybody, some people are meant for a lifetime. Some people are meant for a season. And if we're looking to up-level, we have to stay connected with other people that are looking to up-level. Okay, so Kia and Tanisha got added together. Perfect. Awesome. Awesome. Alyssa's already sent Tanisha and Melissa a friend request. So we've got this. You guys are in a group together. You've got this. I love it. And then it's up to you to determine when we're going to meet, what day, what time we're going to meet, and what we're going to be accountable for. Anything else you guys want to add as I wrap up this call? I do have a live meditation if you want to join in on that. It's at noon on Prima Elements Facebook page. I will just be sitting down to do our brief meditation. But anything you guys want to add as we wrap this up, or anything that you learned here, because this replay will be available for other people, anything that you've learned that you want to encourage others with, or final parting words, or maybe an intention or a commitment for yourself over this next 30 days, because we will meet again virtually the first week of May, virtually on Tuesday at 10:30. So what is your goal to have, imagine yourself showing up on that next month? What will you have want to say that you've done? So maybe put that in the chat. What will you want to say that you have completed, you have done, you're proud of yourself about when you show up on next month's call? Have my weeks planned out. Beautiful. So Melissa says, have my weeks planned out. And what I love about that is you're succeeding in setting up the structure, which will get you closer to your ultimate goal in the 90 days. But if you show up in 30 days and say, yep, every week I planned it out, I completed this, I completed this, I completed this, it may seem like small things over time, but through the compound effect over time, that's going to snowball. And I just had a client yesterday say, the seeds that I've planted are now coming into harvest, right? They're now clients are coming. Now they're starting to ask. Because of the things that she's done in the past, positive things are showing up and flowing into her life. So it is really going to be important during this time what we do with I use this loosely, but I do want to say this may be a gift for us to slow down and stop and be in the house and be close to our families that are driving us crazy. This may be the gift that's going to up level us in this coming season. Kia says, to have the steps I need done, planned out, goal timeline made. Good. So that's it. This is the goal. This is what it is. I have it mapped out. These are the check marks that I'm checking off every single time. All right. For those of you guys who aren't able to type it in the chat, that's okay. I'm gonna end the call because I want to respect everybody's time. And I look forward to staying connected with you. I look forward to seeing you on the next Mindset Meetup and also in the Facebook group if you'd like to be in there. If you need anything, if you want to do a one-on-one call with me, reach out to me via Messenger. I'm happy to support you on that as well. Tanasia says, Facebook has a tracker that will tell you how much time you spend on the app. I will use it to manage my time and stay off unnecessarily. Yep. I will make my products and begin selling them. Yes. We're excited to support you on that as well. All right, everybody. Thank you for showing up today. Have a beautiful day. Have a blessed week, and we will talk soon. Bye.